morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio. So today, we're going to be taking a look at a new Alolan Exeggutor. Now, the thing is, we've got an Alolan Exeggutor, which is seeing a fair amount of play at the moment. It does 120 damage for a single energy if you've got 5 different types of basic energy in the discard pile. And, of course, we've got the new Shuckle that just came out in Lost Thunder, which allows you to get the energy into the discard pile, and that's lovely. So that's seeing a little bit of play. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in Tag Bolt, that's just been released in Japan, there is another Alolan Exeggutor coming out, and it looks good. Now, our translation here comes from the lovely David Hochmann, and if we have a look, 160 HP for a Stage 1 is mahoosive, although it is in line with the other Alolan Exeggutor. We also see here that it's got a retreat cost of 4, which on the one hand is very high, but don't forget in this same set, Brawny Pads just came out, and that gives you an extra 50 HP if you've got a retreat cost of 4. So actually having a retreat cost of 4 right now, not too bad. Clearly you've got to choose between this and Choice Band, but the fact that you've essentially now got 200 HP on a Stage 1 single prize Pokemon, that's nuts. As for the weakness to Fairy, I'm going to be honest with you, Gramble's good. Gardevoir's gone back to winning regional championships. It's a bad weakness to have right now, but you can't have it all. And it's Dragon type rather than being Grass type, but actually there are some advantages, we'll get to them in due course. So what do we have? Well, the first attack here is actually a really nice attack, which could see play in a whole bunch of decks. 0 energy, draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand. You may discard as many cards as you like from your hand before you draw. It is literally Sightseer, but with 1 extra card. Now, the issue with this is it's a Stage 1, so essentially you're not actually using this until turn 2 at the earliest, and by turn 2 you really want to be attacking. Make no mistake about it, this is about the nicest bonus you can get. It's like when you're playing Alolan Ninetales, and you're playing it really for the stunning ability which lets you search your deck for 2 item cards when you evolve it, but actually you've got a GX attack that 1-hit KOs any Ultra Beast, and it evolves from Alolan Vulpix, which searches out 2 Pokemon for 0 energy, and you're like, oh, well, I'm actually playing this to search out item cards, that's a great bonus. That's essentially where we are with Alolan Exeggutor. I could tell you that this is really good in Naganadel decks and in Malamar decks, where generally speaking you do want to discard as many energy as you can as early as you can. Well, not as many as you can, but at least a few in the early game. But honestly, by Stage 2, you want to have evolved up into your Malamar and Naganadel and be attacking. It is a lovely attack, and for 0 energy, it's awesome. It's not the reason we're playing the card, but it's one lovely hefty bonus. The reason we're playing the card is Egg Drop. 1 grass, 1 colorless energy, 60 damage, times as many execute as you discard from your hand. That's kinda cool. Not amazing, not the easiest to use, but kind of cool. There is essentially a 2-card combo that you can use here to just be reusing this over and over again, and it is a combo of Rescue Stretcher and Professor Elm's Lecture. Rescue Stretcher puts 3 Pokemon from your discard pile back into your deck, and then Professor Elm's Lecture lets you search for 3 Pokemon with 60 HP or less and put them into your hand. And at this stage, you're probably not going to be surprised to learn Execute does not have 60 HP. It does weirdly have quite a nice little attack. Flip 4 coins, 10 damage times the number of heads. I mean, if you flip 3 heads there, that's a 1-hit KO on a Rockruff, for instance, which is not terrible. But that's not really the reason why we're playing it here. Although, again, nice little bonus. In Standard, I like this. I mean, look, you're discarding 3 Execute from your hand because 1's got to be evolved. And then you're doing 180 damage. For 2 energy on a 200 HP non-GX. That's awesome. Now, 180 normally is going to get a KO on your Blacephalon. It's going to get a KO on Rayquaza. It's going to get a KO on Tapu Lele. It's actually a pretty nice attack. Not perfect, but pretty nice. Time you add a choice band, although as mentioned, you lose brawny pads when you use this, so bear that in mind. You're up to 210, something like a Zoroark, for instance, or a Lycanroc, etc. They are going down. And then, of course, I do need to remind you that anytime you're playing a non-GX, there's a decent chance you're playing Shrine of Punishment that's going to put 1 damage counter on each EX and GX between turns. Even if you only use this attack once. You could play like a 4-1 or a 4-2 Alolan Exeggutor line. It's got a really nice setup attack, and it's doing a lot of damage and one-hit KOing a GX for 2 energy. Now, the energy in and of itself is quite awkward. Counter energy will work if you're behind on prizes. That would be quite nice. And then, of course, we've got counter gain, which again will only work when you're behind on prizes. We do have Zinnia here. Now, Zinnia is not the easiest one to use, but when you've had a Pokemon KO'd, the next turn you can play Zinnia and attach 2 basic energy from your hand to one of your Dragon Pokemon. You've got to have the energy in hand, but you get to attach them. That's awesome. I told you there were advantages to being a Dragon Pokemon. So there are ways to get the energy out here. The other thing I need to mention, what if you could discard 4 Execute from your hand? Because you totally can. Ditto Prism Star can evolve into any stage 1. So if you evolve Ditto Prism Star into Alolan Exeggutor, you can now be discarding 4 Execute from your hand. And now we're rolling, ladies and gentlemen. This is very nice indeed. Because now you're doing 240. Stuff like Gardevoir's getting 1-hit KO'd. Stuff like Decidueye is getting 1-hit KO'd. If you add a choice band on there, then you're actually getting everything up to and including Eevee and Snorlax Tag Team GX. That's nuts. About the only thing you're not getting at that stage is Magikarp and Wailord. That's how powerful this attack is. For 2 energy on a stage 1 non-GX. That, ladies and gentlemen, is ridiculous. And then, of course, let's not forget we've got Lance. Lance Prism Star is a great card here, because when you have a Pokemon KO'd, the next turn you can play Lance Prism Star, search your deck for 2 Dragon Pokemon and put them straight onto your bench. They could be 2 Alolan Exeggutor. So between Ditto and Lance, that is 3 Alolan Exeggutor that you get into play without using Execute. That's 3 chances to hit for 240 damage, which is nuts. But really, we need to look at the expanded format here. Now, I've told you how good this card can be, and it is, but in expanded, we have got 2 cards that take this from, oh, that's nice, into ridiculous territory. One of them is Double Dragon Energy. And of course, you've got Special Charge to reuse it. The thing is, Double Dragon Energy just pays the cost here. And this is why, along with Lance and Zinnia, we want this to be a dragon rather than a grass. In order for this to really work, we need Double Dragon Energy, we need Lance. It's got to be a dragon, and it is. Incidentally, you can actually use Devoured Field here in order to do an extra 10 damage, and if you're against something like a Buzzwole, this could actually be relevant, because Buzzwole's got 190, 3 Exeggutor, hit 180, this will do it. Similarly, something like a 250 HP Metagross, 4 Execute, do 240, Devoured Field puts it up to 250, and that means you can use Brawny pads. So Double Dragon Energy allows you to pay the attack cost in 1 energy attachment, plus we got Special Charge and Expanded, which means there's none of this mucking about. Yeah, you can still play counter energy for when you're behind on prizes, but it means that this routinely becomes a single energy attack. And you got Execute. And Execute, it makes this broken. What you have here is a Pokemon that can just put itself in your hand from the discard. Which means every turn, you just pick up your Execute and then discard them when you attack. And of course, don't forget Battle Compressor, which lets you put them in a discard super easily. And this is just over the top. We've now got a stage 1, which attacks for 1 energy, can have 200 HP, and then hits, well, basically 180 a turn, maybe 240. Generally, it hits 180, but if you're using Ditto and Lance Prism Star, then you can be hitting 240. There are going to be some awkward turns where you kind of need to have 2 execute on the bench, and that's really annoying. Incidentally, if you only discard 2 execute, that's 120. Devoured Field puts you up to 130, which is super, super good against stuff like Buzzwole, for instance, the non-GX. Although remember, you've also got Shrine of Punishment, so you need to balance those 2 cards. But the fact that you can evolve it or get it out with Lance and Ditto, the fact that you've got the Execute, which means you've always got all of your Execute in your hand, the fact that you can pay it with 1 cost with Double Dragon Energy, in Expanded, this could become one of the very best decks. Because what this does beautifully, first of all, it can one-hit KO GXs, but secondly, it's consistent enough to just trade with non-GX decks. If you're against a non-GX deck, most of the time 130 is what you're going to need to do. So you can afford to have 2 execute down to evolve up, and just have 2 in a discard you keep grabbing back. As another little side note, having these priors can mess up your game plan, so make sure you're playing Gladion. In the standard format, this is a good deck. The fact that you've got to basically combine Rescue Stretcher and Professor Elm means it's going to be a little bit clunky, although just to be clear, we're already playing the other Alolan Exeggutor, this fits nicely. But when you get into the expanded format and you get Double Dragon Energy and the other Execute, this could legitimately become one of the very, very best decks in the expanded format. It is essentially broken because you're not supposed to be able to do this. The whole point of this is, look, we're going to let you do nuts damage, but it's going to cost you 2 energy, and you're going to constantly have to keep trying to cycle your Execute. That is the thing that balances it being too good. And in the expanded format, Double Dragon Energy and Execute go, ha, now we don't need to bother. This is nuts. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is a 5 WOSSy card. Now, in Expanded, it's a 5 WOSSy card. In Standard, it's probably between 3 and 4. We don't give half WOSSys, that would be barbaric. It's over the top. Or maybe it's not, although it is. If you do think it's over the top, even though I disagree, let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but please do remember the rule. Be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWossy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, all that malarkey, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And do make sure you're checking out my other channel at youtube.com/WossyPlays. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.